everyone, welcome back to our class. I hope you're ready for cutting and sewing because that's the topic today. As we've mentioned, the general approach is to cut a strip and subcut that into the parts we need for our blocks. So I'm going to actually do some cutting today. One of the suggestions in your book was to use a piece of tape to mark the size. Remember, we're cutting 4.5-inch strips. So let me try that. On the green fabric, this would be fabric B in the diagram, the color diagram that you have in front of you. So I have measured and I am going to cut. Now we are going to take off the selvage. We're going to square up the left-hand edge. And we're going to use our small ruler, and we want to place one of the lines in the small ruler along the edge of the fabric. And we want to do that the entire length so we're sure it's square. We bring the other long ruler up, move the small one out of the way, and cut off the selvage. Now we need a 12.5-inch piece. So I measure, again, lining these up along the fabric, the 12.5-inch mark. So here is our project being assembled for the second time. Let's work on fabric E, the red fabric next. So again, we need a 4.5-inch strip. We're going to cut off the selvage in the same way, using our small ruler to square. And then we need 4.5-inch squares, so there's no reason we can't use our small ruler for that. Oops, that doesn't look right. You sometimes can tell when things, yes, things are wrong. So I've already cut some and started to assemble our project, so that's enough. And there we are, ready to sew. If the project were a little bigger, a little more complicated, this would be a great time to use your camera. Take a black and white photo, look at your values, your light and dark. Or another way to do it is simply to stand far away from it and judge whether you like it or not. One more piece we need to cut, and I need to mention, is this. I forgot that one. So if you will pretend, please, with me. I kind of ran out of that fabric as I was trying to make another one of these. So here's your longer piece of fabric. And remember, the instructions are to cut 2-inch strips. So I am not going to actually do this. I'm simply going, and again, you can move the tape, it's helpful. So you're going to cut 1, you're going to cut 2, you're going to cut 3. Every 3 or 4, you should stop and re-straighten this edge. It may seem like it shouldn't need it, but you would be surprised. Your pressure isn't always the same, And so you get a little unevenness, and you always want to correct those little mistakes. Little mistakes have a way of growing into bigger mistakes. So always re-straighten after every 3 or 4 cuts. The other thing we asked you to do was to measure a 20-inch piece across here. And the easiest way with only this long ruler and a short ruler is simply to come across here with your long ruler, take a pencil, make a mark, move down here and do it again. Again, you want to line up the whole width of the 6 inches along the fabric to be sure it's square, make a mark, and then use this to cut your 20-inch piece off. Now, as you accumulate rulers, let me show you what I have. I have a 15.5-inch ruler, and I always hope all this math keeps my brain sharp. So if I put 14 inches here, and I take my long 6-inch ruler and butt it up against, then I can measure here 20 inches and make a cut for the 20-inch piece. All this cutting is time consuming. And so your book mentions on about page 15 and 16 pre-cuts. And I want to show you just a couple of those. This is a charm pack. I've taken it apart. It usually contains 1 or 2 of the entire collection. Usually a collection is 40, 42 fabrics. These are cut with a pinking shear, and the tip of the point of the cut here is the measurement of 5 inches. This is a layer cake. This is 10 inches. There are also pre-cuts in long strips called jelly rolls. So make yourself aware of those if you don't like the cutting. That cuts down on your cutting time. There are also cutting systems, and let's discuss one of those when we take a break in a few minutes. The makers' rooms in both the Olathe and Johnson County libraries have one of those cutting systems. And again, it speeds up the time you need to spend cutting. So you will buy more rulers probably, and I tend to buy what I need in the way of rulers and fabric as I need them for a particular project. So let me just show you kind of what I have. I wanted to make this pattern with triangles. So I needed to buy a triangular ruler, a 60-degree ruler. And then I decided I wanted to make what's called a Dresden plate. And that is these little pieces like this. And so I needed a Dresden ruler to make one of these little segments. I've also bought several square rulers. This 12.5 one is really nice to use. And recently I bought kind of like half of your big long one. And you don't always need that long ruler, so this half works really well. But you either, you like technology, and so you add to your collection.
Okay.
Okay.
This froze.
Okay.